to this week's Eagles Nest podcast. We've been doing this for almost about a year now, so it's kind of exciting. I wish we should go back and see when our 1 year anniversary was, so we could have celebrated at least the podcast part of it. Now,
yep, we should.
Anniversary wise, with EXP, Brad's been with now for just over a year, right?
I'm entering my
14
months.
Yeah, I just started 13 months today with this brokerage.
I'm that young still. I can still counting months. Just like a kid.
My daughter the other day asked, why did they say babies are 9 months old and not less than a year? I'm like, good question, kid. It's just easier to say 9 months than it is to say 3/4 of a year.
It's just being specific, that's all.
Right,
That's
right. So this week, we got some topics for you. One of them we're going to talk about, refresh my memory, Brad, because I know you wrote them down.
Well, one would be, we're going to talk about, what goes into a CMA, and we're going to tell you actually what a CMA is.
Yeah.
That is technically an industry term. And the other thing we're going to talk about at least is, I just went blank and it was in front of me. No, we're not doing the spring stuff this week. What the heck was it?
He's going to come back to it.
Hold on. So
Hold on, wait a minute.
it's what happens when you're trying to do 14 things at once, but that's all right.
Life as an agent.
Life is a realtor. It's always fun and confusing, and
He sent it to me. I can look it up just.
I do. I have it right here. We are doing we got to charities we currently support or would like to support, or kind of looking at, is one of them, and then the other one was another reminder just about our about the interviews. I'd say you really do them, so it's pretty cool. Where do you want to start?
All right, let's start with the organizations we support and how we like to support them. I think the first one is any type of heroes, so veterans, real big for us. We love supporting those that have supported our country and our freedom today. So anytime there's an opportunity to support veterans and what they do on a daily basis, we really like to jump in. So with that being said, if you guys have an organization out there or someone that's needed, even if it's not monetary support, it could be physical man labor. We come and, scoop food for, a shelter, whatever it might be. We're all about getting out there and helping those type of people. Other organizations, local school organizations, real big. I mean, I have two little ones. Brad's is a little bit older now.
A little bit.
Young adult.
Not in school. So,
so I think supporting any type of school organization, fundraisers, anything that's on those lines. If you're selling something, there's a good possibility we're going to buy, your little sponsor cards or Girl Scout cookies, whatever it might be. And then I'm a sucker, Brad. I'm not going to lie. Here we go. I am a sucker for two things: Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, when they are out selling their popcorn, Girl Scout cookies, whatever it might be. What Brad didn't realize is I sat over here because that microphone last week pissed me off.
It's driving me nuts. All right, I got to talk to Bevan. Come on now, Bevan. It's shrinking. I'm already shorting up. I don't want to be any shorter.
So I think anytime, like the Girl Scouts, my wife knows if I go to the grocery store during Girl Scouts cookie season, good possibility I'm coming home with Girl Scout cookies.
I avoid cookies like the plague, but I do support the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts. I've been known to just buy the cookies and give them away. Smart thing for me to do, so I'm not tempted. Is I'm one of the 4 people on the planet that does not like the Thin Mints.
My wife doesn't like them either.
So, okay, so maybe there's 5 people on the planet. So I buy those and just give them away.
Did speaking about Thin Mints, does your wife watch our podcast?
I don't know. I think she does, or she's seen parts of it, but not regularly, because I told her I talked nicely about her too.
Yeah. My wife admitted last night that she has not watched it because she does not have 30 minutes to sit there and watch it. I said, well, you can listen to it. Just put an earbud in. We talk about you guys sometimes. Well, it's okay.
In fairness, with your wife's hours, she's well worked by it.
That's true.
And in fairness to my wife's hours, she's not always up yet, or she's up and usually getting the dogs fed and cats fed and I don't know why we feed the cats. Sorry, that's bad. That sounded bad. Not how I meant it. Short backstory, so I don't sound like I hate cat. Well, I'm not really a cat person. I'll admit I'm a dog person, but daughter has 2 cats. Daughter's completely fine with them eating the regular hard food.
Yeah,
My wife started feeding them this canned food, so now they expect it.
okay.
Morning around the same time. Drives me nuts, but hey, it's one of those little things in life that you just live with.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that we, so. No, I
So-
don't have a major hatred for cats. I'm just not a cat person.
Yeah, so I think when it comes to really supporting organizations, anything out there that, isn't going to cost us our left arm and our right leg, we're all about supporting. If we can't support them through some type of donation, it might be something as simple as we go around and find people that donate to build a basket, whatever it might be. We had, the really cool basket that we did for the Wheatland PTO. It was basically between us and a bunch of other local businesses. We put together a shop local, play local, eat local basket, which I, had a really nice value on it.
Absolutely.
And drew a couple $100 at the PTO fundraiser. So it was awesome.
Absolutely. We definitely want to highlight your events. If you're having an event, if you're having some type of fundraiser for it. Want to reach out to us. We're either going to donate, maybe we'll participate our time, or get it,
Throw a shout out,
or throw you a shout out,
throw it in our
Or-
newsletter.
throw a newsletter, or even like Vince said, we'll get a basket, and the other businesses around town are amazing.
Yeah,
Because Vince got that one basket put together, and
we
he goes into
procrastinate.
thinking buy, and several of them said, well, we'll match, or we'll donate this.
Yep.
So we have amazing in this whole area, Burlington, southeastern Wisconsin area, some really amazing small business owners that are always willing to contribute. So what Vince is trying to play with the sound thing again, so.
You can't hear it anyways on this.
You pretty much hit all the ones, I'm a sucker for things that's for kids, we were down in Indianapolis this weekend, supporting my sister-in-law. She's, I feel bad, I never remember her official title with the city of Carmel, which is, for those that aren't familiar with Indiana, it's a northeastern suburb of Indianapolis, and it's the Carmel Youth something program, I don't remember. So they have some cool fundraisers that they have baskets that are donated. So a funny story is, I'm like, they had this fun thing after the dinner. It's a seated dinner, 3-course dinner. So salad, the entree, and then for dessert, different organizations donated dessert. So my wife always donates a tray of her cookies and stuff like that. And they have this bidding thing where you bid for your table.
Dessert.
So they call it voting, but every vote, one vote is dollar amount. So we're sitting there and we're like, it's kind of a competition thing, because then you get to go first to go pick, the highest bidder gets to pick their dessert.
Oh, gotcha.
Right.
So you're not bidding on one dessert, you're just bidding on who gets to go first on
Yeah.
picking the dessert for the
And for
table.
like me, I don't want to be stuck with anything coconut on it. I don't like coconut, and there's a lot of desserts with coconut. And I'm not a big citrus dessert person, like lemon stuff and stuff like that. So I'm like, we're sitting like, well, I gotta get something. So we're a table of 8. The winning bid, I'll just tell you right now, went for over 3,000, and there was a competition because they started doing it live to get the money raised. Just the dessert portion raised over $20,000. That's pretty awesome. So I contributed 150 at first. That's a reasonable amount.
Yeah, for
Right?
dessert.
For dessert.
For 8.
They put up a video of some of the kids and how it's impacted.
All right, yep.
And I'm just like, well, I have to throw another 100 on this. So we're sucker for the kids. One thing we did mention, if you have a fundraiser that involves us coming and paying to golf, you have a high chance of potentially showing up
And participating.
and
Yeah,
participating, since we love golf. So
good point.
make sure you remind us of those, because you see a lot of them, and there's
Yep.
a lot throughout the summer. Honestly, it's if we participate in every one that there is, we wouldn't get any work done.
I'd
But
barely get work done now.
we do like to participate in some, or like I said, if you just want to shout out for it, even if we can't participate, let us know. We want to know what's going on. We want to know what the needs are, and we're always going to try and contribute in some form of fashion.
And that ties into, kind of step 2, and that is, if you're a local business or an organization and you want some, social media attention, let us know. We do like one-on-one interviews with you, your business, your organization, talking about it, spreading the word. Then we throw it on YouTube, and it allows people to see it. It's got, it's funny how hashtags work out there, but the right hashtags go to the right audience watches your video, your information, and then it kind of snowballs, right? Compounding effect. And I'll tell you a little story. My wife thought it was funny that we would throw all this stuff on YouTube. And just yesterday, a buyer who I just started working with, he goes to me, I told him, this morning we do our podcast, not sure, if he calls in the morning, I'm not available, I'll get back to him because we have a podcast. He goes, that's where I know you from. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, you also do like a market update too, a real estate market update, right? And I was like, yeah. He goes, my sister sent me a video of from YouTube, your real estate market update. And I was like, son of a gun, it worked. So surprisingly enough, it hits some people. Not everybody watches them, but it's kind of cool.
Well, I wasn't sure when we started doing this podcast. I wasn't sure because if there's usually we go live every week.
Yep.
But the podcast does get posted to our YouTube channel at Eagle Homes 72 is our
Handle
name or handle name. For those who don't have it, I think we put it in this video too. But so we do go live every week. We probably have maybe one that watches it live.
Yeah.
Like I said, our wives are busy, they don't watch live. But I went back and looked, we get a pretty good audience.
We got nobody watching live right now.
That's normal though. But we have a pretty good audience that we get because it's on there. It's just on our YouTube channel. So months later, just different topics relate to different people. So check it out. We've had some good topics. We've had some good guests. Yep. So again, we've highlighted a lot of guests so far of like partners that we work with in the real estate world, lenders, title companies, inspectors. We are totally open, by the way. If you're a small business, if you're a charity organization, a school, and you've got just something coming up, or just in general, we'd love to have you. We do get an audience. Our audience is growing, which is nice.
Yeah, it is.
So we'd love to support you and have you on. So feel free to request and join us on Monday morning.
Yeah,
you can join us in person if you're around, or we can link in via Zoom.
Yeah. Let's go into CMA. I think over the last week and a half, I've done 4 or 5 CMAs, and there's a lot of value in there, and we'll talk about what a CMA is, how we come up with the numbers, and the benefits of it. Because
should we start with what a CMA is?
Yeah, let's start there. Go ahead. What's a CMA, Brian?
The CMA simply stands for comparative market analysis. So it is simply what a real estate agent does, or for you, if you really want to just start to, before you meet with an agent, kind of see, hey, what I think my home is worth. Go on like realty.com or something. You can't always get the best data, but at least an idea, and go on and just pull some recent solds, at least in your neighborhood. If you got a neighborhood. When you get rural, and you have less neighbors, it becomes a little more difficult.
Yep. Because
it's comparative market analysis on solds. We'll get a little bit into this more, but timing's important, things like that. So let's kind of go into the steps of it. First of all, well, I also want to throw caution into the wind here. Mm-hmm. We just told you to go to realtor.com, and realtor.com, you can get them to do a CMA of your house. Same thing with Zillow and some of what's the other one out there? Redfin. Smartest place would be our website. I know where you're going. Smartest place would be. But with that being said, those sites just, taking a couple factors of the home, usually the square footage, number of bedrooms, maybe yard size, and then give you a nice round number. Some of those websites give you a single number, where our website, if you just want to, shits and giggles, get a number that's a broad range. Our website, if you go to fly2eaglehomes.com, you click on the sell part of the sell part in the top of the header, put in your address. Make sure when your address drops down, it's a Google address. If you just put an address and the Google part doesn't populate, it won't pull your information. And then hit start. You will get my home value.
Get my home value. and you'll get a range. Usually it's about $40,000 to $50,000 range, and then you can adjust that range. Depending on your yard, everything else, you can really throw, quality of the interior home. You can throw a range in there and kind of get a better idea, because you can look at comps, you can look at solds on Realtor.com, and I'm fighting this battle today. I have an agent that sent me a bunch of comps, and they're on the high end, but they doesn't quite fit the home that we're looking at purchasing. So be cautious. So give us a call. Let us help you with that. Brian, let's go into what a CMA is and kind of the characteristics of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna just expand a little bit. So if those who want to check out our website, so in seriousness, better than Realtor.com is our website. So our website has a great feature that this is kind of a nice transition into what the CMA is. Once you do that, like Ben said, it gives you a range, and then it lets you go ahead based on 6 criteria: your exterior, interior, outdoor amenities, location and view. Water views are worth more, sometimes trees, landscaping, and then pool, which isn't probably the most used in Wisconsin, but it's there. And then it allows you to kind of grade and adjust your value. Then it gives you an adjusted valuation. After you go through that and you start hitting through Explore and stuff like that, it'll start asking you to input more specific data about your home.
Right.
That helps us really understand your home before we even come there.
Yep.
So we can often, instead of a couple visits, we'll know a lot about your home and its value before we can do a walkthrough.
Right.
So a little time saver there, and just helps us be prepared as well. So
Yep.
Check it out when you get a chance. So market analysis, first thing you're going to want to do is, of course, call us. So a lot of different things go into a market analysis. Again, it's a comparable. So we're going to look at most recent solds. Once it comes time to get your home sold under contract, and when an appraiser comes through, they're going to try and look at the last 6 months.
Okay, so Brad, that brings me up to a question.
Yep.
When you're doing a market analysis, most recent solds, how far are you going back?
Well, I usually go back. I try to go back 9 months. So I go a little further back than 6 months, because that's what the preference is from the appraisal standpoint. But when you get in areas like ours, southeastern Wisconsin, we're not a major city,
right? A little more spread out,
right? If you don't have the solds, you have to maybe go back further. The other thing is, again, I'm talking from an appraisal, because once we do the market analysis, we're trying to fit things into what the appraiser is going to do.
right?
Who's going to come in, and basically they're going to be a confirmation of that the home is priced for where it's going to sell.
Yep.
So we want to be very accurate on that in that regard. The other thing that's a factor is distance from your home. So obviously, again, if you have a lot of neighborhoods and there's several solds per year,
Right.
it's easier. When you don't, and you're more spread out in rural areas, we have to go out, not a half mile is ideal.
Yep.
But that's not realistic. So, more rural properties, sometimes you have to go out several miles. Sometimes you have to look at an entire zip code, or city or town. So there's different things you have to look at there.
Well, and depending on your style of home, if you're looking at a 40-acre farm home, right, it's gonna be different than your, brick ranch on a city lot.
Correct. Great lead in. Next thing you're gonna look at, so you got location, right? That's a big thing. Timeline of sold. Next thing, not next necessarily, but one of the next things would be size. You don't really want to compare size and style. You don't want to compare a 3,000 square foot to necessarily a 1,500 square foot. You don't, for as far as finish, your main living area. You also don't want to look at, I try to compare single story ranches to single story ranches, bi-levels to bi-levels or multi-levels, things like that. So style comes into play. So those are a lot of features. Bedrooms, you can't compare a 2-bedroom to a 5-bedroom.
Right.
Necessarily. Bathrooms are also, these are all big ticket items that impact your value, your property literally going up, being adjusted 10,000, 20,000, 5,000, whatever, up and down. Those are pretty important features. Then it gets down to some of the more, also basement, no basement, partial basements, garages.
Yep.
Detached garages, first of all, attached or second garages, pole barns.
Right.
You know, again, we start.
Any
getting
type of
down-
outbuilding, right?
Right, acreage.
Yep.
You know, again, super simple. If you're in a subdivision, all the lots are, you know, quarter acre to third acre typically.
Yep.
Some neighborhoods have half acre to acre. Then you get rural, you get, well, you know, this guy's an acre and a half, this guy's 5 acres. She's 10 acres, you know, whatever, you know, it
It's
gets
a numbers game.
Yeah, that's why I always, one of my favorite questions is, which I haven't even mentioned, is price per square foot. That's easy in the city,
Yeah,
especially like vertical, you know, condo sales that you see, like I always reference the $1 million listing because they always talk price per square foot. Well, yes, do we look at it? Absolutely. But there's so many variables when you're looking at a rural market you have to factor in. That's not even getting down to then the finishes. That's a little hard. I mean, the primary things that an appraiser is gonna look at is yes, all those previous things I mentioned. Then they do go to finishes, but I've seen some stuff that would be called quote unquote outdated. That because it's so well kept, it's well maintained, that they really don't nick it for value. You know, so what's the difference between an old granite countertop and a new granite countertop? If there's not a bunch of dings and dents and
right. Still granted.
cracks in it, still granite.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think one of the biggest mistakes sellers make today is not only do they look on a realtor.com, they see that their neighbor's house sold for 300,000, but they don't sit there and do the detailed work of going through the pictures and realizing, hey, it's been updated, or the bathroom's not from 1980 anymore, it's from 2023. And look at that, they just see that it's sold for 300,000. They're like, oh, that means my house should sell for that. No, your house is from 1981. It's still 1981 style. I mean, there was a house I showed a couple weeks ago that still had purple shag carpet in one room and yellow/orange shag carpet in another room, and they were the price was just out there. I mean, it was way out there.
Yeah, I mean, so time in a number of different ways is super important. Time of solds, you know. Also, time as far as when was this thing last updated?
Yeah,
That's why you can have your area is a pretty good example. Your area got wiped out by tornadoes.
Oh, yeah.
Many years ago.
oh wait,
So your house is one of the newer ones that was rebuilt.
Yep.
But I think you're right next door to one that's probably been there since what, 50s, 60s, 70s?
60s, yeah.
And yours was built in what, 2008?
2008, 2009, yeah.
Yeah. Could be very similar homes, but styles of homes, you know,
Right,
heck, your home looks like a two-story, it's a ranch.
right.
Because they went higher pitched roofs and stuff like that, just for, you know, make everything grand, look bigger.
Bigger,
right?
yeah.
You know, and basements back in the 70s, I remember my last several homes was built in the 70s. You know, you might be able to get, if you finish your basement, you might be able to get, maybe if you're lucky, a 7-foot ceiling, 7.5.
Yep.
I think yours you have the tile.
Yeah, tile
I
drop
think
down.
you're not 8-9 foot.
Well, we're still 8 foot with the tile drop down.
Right, so if you would have done drywall to you.
But probably about 9 feet.
Yeah, so just the style difference, so that's why you see, you know, it could be the same size house, same number of bedrooms, same number of baths. But it was built in, you know, 2010 versus 1970. You could have an $80,000 difference. So there's a lot of just a little factors.
Yep.
Beyond the ones you get. That's why it's important to have it. You know, we understand what changes. Also, I'll give an example. So I got a listing coming up this month where I first met with them. It was January.
Okay,
And I told him, and he was doing a couple tweaks and some things, and you know, some things that would visually look different, and they weren't super expensive, but they were nice upgrades. And I said, well, I want to come take a look at those before we list again, but I think we need to take a look at the market's done. I said, we might be able to adjust our recommended price from what I said in January.
yeah,
So I wanted to let him know that, because I mean, the market can change drastically, and
3-6 months.
yeah, I mean, I was just looking at somebody from September, October range is when the interest rates kind of kicked up to that 7, and there was a lot of that shock value.
Yep.
I was looking at this last night. There's a property that sold for $460. That I'm like, wow, if they would have unfortunately waited into the start of this year, when kind of things settled down a little bit,
Yeah,
it probably would have got closer to 5. That's a big adjustment. So time's super critical.
Yeah.
So these are things you got to talk to your agent about, because we're in tune to what's going on with the market. That can make the difference of 10, 15, even if it's only 5,000. Hey, if I give you $5,000, you take it.
nope, not today. I'd ask you to wait till it was 10,000.
Of course you.
Okay, can we time this to where we can get it $10,000, Brad? And timing the market, right? Like, I think a lot of people are like, oh, but interest rates are high. I want to get the most value for my home. If that's what you're thinking, you're going to be sitting here forever.
Yeah,
Because the house you're going to buy is also going up in price. Keep that in mind.
exactly. And we've said it before in this podcast, we've said it to clients directly. If you need to sell, there's reasons to sell. Relocation, you need a bigger house, you need a smaller house. Whatever it is. You're always gonna date the rate, right? The
Yep.
rates are gonna, but I'm sorry, but if you refuse to sell your house until interest rates are down around 3% again, you might be
You might want to talk to your kids.
You might want to talk to your kids, because I'm in my late 40s. Based on what I've heard, I don't think we're gonna see those interest rates in my lifetime again. This is, by the way, assuming I live for a reasonable amount of time.
And those 3s and 4s, for those that have been through, been here for 80 years on this God-given earth, we've never seen numbers like that. So for us to think that we're going to see it again, it's not like the stock market where it goes like this in a 10-year cycle. That was really weird. So yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
So
I don't know if our video went out on your end, but it went out hard for a second.
yeah, that was weird.
It's back.
So I think, understanding, there goes video again. Don't know what's going on. Doesn't like us today.
I think we're still good.
Yeah, they can still hear us.
Coming back in,
There we
we're good. Anyway, so there's just so many variables, and the little things can make those differences, $5,000-$10,000. And that's why, not to pick on the for sale by owners for a second, but I see so often there's an importance to pricing your home right. You price it too high, you go stale, and then you may never get the number that you should get. If you go too low, you just gave a lot of money away. So it's pretty important that you make sure it is priced right, and hopefully our video overall is.
Yeah, no, it's gonna go back. We'll switch.
That's all right. So anyway, there's just so many variables. So use our website. Our website's a really cool tool, so you can kind of get an understanding.
Yep.
And then we come in and we verify, and then we talk strategy. That's one last thing. Is part of this a market analysis is strategy, and making sure that you're comfortable with the plan.
Right.
Just coming up with the plan that works best for you.
Yeah.
Which involves timing, pricing, marketing, all that kind of stuff.
We got a Mother's Day coming up in a little over a week. We should we should come up with something cool for Mother's Day. Let's think about that. We'll talk about it. But we're right at 9:30 right now, guys. Is there anything else you want to throw on the CMA part of it, Brad?
No, I think that's pretty good. That's pretty much it.
I think the key is really reaching out to us, having a conversation, and then going from there. But I'm Vincent Devall with Eagle Homes, powered by eXp Realty, and this is the Eagle's Nest podcast.
I'm Brad Brewer, all with that same stuff and places, and he said it in the right order.
There we go. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.